Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make these simple Shamballa bracelets. So if you want to learn how to do it, then keep watching. Now the things that you will need to make this is you obviously need your cord. It's whatever cord you choose to work with. In this case I'm using satin cord, and this is 2mm and it's got an effect to it, like some glitter running through it. But whatever cord you choose to use, and it doesn't have to be 2mm either, it could be any size. And then a scissor to cut the cord. You need the beads that you've chosen to work with. This is 5 crackle quartz. Any beads will do. And then I've just chosen 2 stardust beads to finish off at the end. You can choose to use the same beads that you used in the bracelet, or just some beads that will match nicely. So if you get all your things ready, then let's get started. So you've now got the base cord ready. Before you fasten the bottom of it to the bottom of your board or whatever else you're using, you want to just thread on your beads. Sometimes you can just put the cord through the beads really easily, no problems, and that's fine. With this cord, what you can do is singe the end. So just use a lighter, just carefully, and then just singe the end. That will make it more pointy and then hard as well, so it almost works like a needle. If you need to do that, then go ahead and do that. That's a little tip. And then you want to get your beads out. Help if I could find the hole. There we go. And then thread them on. Because what I've had to do with this, it can be quite difficult to get through because these are genuine gemstones, and often the holes are smaller in them. So then little tips like singeing the ends of the cord or that will help. Otherwise, I like to do as well is kind of, if you can see that, I roll it a bit and then push it in. That hardens the cord up a bit as well. This is tricky to get through. Anyway, I won't bore you with that. So get all your beads on, and then I'll show you the next step. So I've now got my beads on with a bit of work, and now, if you have the board or whatever else you're using, get the bottom end of it and then fasten that. Wrap it around a few times, and then that will hold as well. So now your cord won't go anywhere and it'll be secure to work with. Next step is get the main cord that you're going to be using ready, which in my case is this cord with a bit of glitter running through it. It's still satin cord, so it's the same type. Now the length of this, there isn't actually a specific length. It all depends what you're using. It depends the thickness of the cord, it depends on the size of the beads, how long you want it to be. But there's a general rule that if you wrap it around 3 times, wrap around your wrist 3 times, and then add a bit, that should be sufficient. But I just usually say, if you're in doubt, just get a bit more, just to be on the safe side. Because you really don't want to be running out. Obviously, then you have to start all over again. So get your cord, and then fold it over in half, so you have a loop in one end. And then you take one end and put it underneath the base cord that you've got on the board, and you want to make sure the middle of this long cord is about the middle that's behind the cord. So you do that, and then you have one end coming out on each side. So now you want to start making your square knots. to do this, you grab one side. It doesn't matter what side you start on, that's completely what's most comfortable for you. In my case, for some reason, I always tend to start on the left. So I take the left cord, put it over the middle cord. I then take the right cord, lay it down over the cord that I've just put over, and then get the end of it. Go, you can almost say you have a cross here, so you go underneath the cross, straight underneath, and make sure to go underneath the base cord as well, the holding cord. And then you want to pull it through the loop that you created on the other side. Make sure to pull it through it. And then you just tighten it. That's 1/2 of your first square knot. So now to finish that square knot, you do the exact same thing, but opposite. So you start on the other side, make the loop over, and put this underneath the cross, and then pull it through the loop on the other side, and then tighten that. And that is your first square knot. Usually what I like to do is make a few of these before I then start adding the beads. That's completely up to you, what you want to do, how many knots you want to make, both before and after, but also in between. That's what's going to make it your design. So just keep going. Put it through, pull it through the loop, tighten it, put it over and under, and pull through. Now that's 2 square knots, so it's really simple, as you can see. If you ever come in doubt like where you are, like what side you need to start on next, a little tip is the side where your cord is coming out underneath the knot is the side that you need to start with next. You'll be able to see that up close. On this side it's coming out on top, and on this side it's coming out on the bottom. So that's just a little tip if you ever get lost in where you are. So make as many of these as you want to begin with. Because this is quite thick cord as well, it moves quite a bit quicker, so but it's all up to you what you want to use. I think I'm going to add my first bead now. So you push that up, because you already have all your beads on the strand. You just push the first one up, and then you just continue doing the exact same thing that you've just been doing. And start, always make sure you start from the same side. So put that over the middle cord, take the right one, put it under, and pull it through the loop, and then tighten that. And now your cords wrap around the bead just nicely. Same thing, other side. And now you've locked that bead in, and that's not going to go anywhere. So it's now your choice how many knots you want in between the beads. If you want, you can just do 1 knot, and the beads will end up quite close. You can do a few more, and it'll space them out more. Completely your choice. I think I'm going to do 2 between each bead actually. And you don't have to just do that, you can do up to 5, 10, whatever you like. Remember to use the other side. Put it under and pull it through the loop. Okay. Push the next one up. Continue. I started with my left side, so I'm going to continue with my left side first. Put it under and pull it through. tighten it. Repeat, but opposite. There's another 2 knots. I'm ready to push the next one up. So just continue like that. That's really all there is to it. That's how easy it is to make a Shamballa style bracelet. So continue till you've finished off to the way you want it to be, and then I'll show you how to make the lock on the back. So you've now gotten to the end of your bracelet and you've made it how you want it to be. In my case, I've used the 5 beads that I had ready from the beginning. Just a little note, I don't know all the history and the rules, but there is something, if you want to make it more genuine Shamballa, what you want to do is use uneven numbers. So use, say, 5 beads like I have, use 7 if you may be using smaller beads or you want a bigger bracelet. So that's just a little note if you're interested in that. So the next step now is you just want to finish this off and get these cords off. To do that, what you'll need is some glue. I'm using a glue that's called Hypo cement. It's really good for jewelry making in general. I use it for a lot of things. What's also really good, it has a really fine tip, if you can see that. So it's a lot better for precision work and that, especially for finishing off when you're doing Shamballa style bracelets or just Macrame bracelets in general. So get your glue. What you want to then do is, you'll be able to tell the last knot that you've done. When you do a knot, it creates like a little well in between them. What you want to do is get your glue and then fill up that last well. Because that's going to secure it so the cords aren't going to go anywhere when you cut them off. Don't over glue it. It doesn't need loads of glue because you want to make sure you do your best to make it not visible at the end. I also then just like to go around just a little bit the cords, and you want to do it on both sides so you get the well on the back as well. Fill that up a bit and then just go around the cord coming out just a little bit. And then you want to obviously leave that to dry before you actually cut the cords off. So leave that to dry and then cut the cords off as close as you can to where they're attached. And then I'll show you how to make the locking part of it. So you've now finished off the main part of the bracelet. Cut off the excess cord and let the glue dry. So to make the locking part of it, the adjustable part as well, you get another piece of cord. This is the same one that I used running down the actual bracelet. It doesn't have to be that long. Sometimes you can just use the scrap cord that you cut off at the end, if that's long enough. Otherwise, just cut off a bit extra. And again, you just want to find the middle of it, approximately. Again, it doesn't have to be precise, but as good as you can. And then now you get your bracelet. You get the 2 end cords and kind of fold them over so they go against each other. So you're making the bracelet shape basically. You then get your cord that you cut off, put it behind the 2 cords coming out of the end of the bracelets. So now you want to just basically keep doing the same thing that you've been doing. All you do now is, the only difference is, instead of 1 holding cord that you had throughout the bracelet, you now have 2 because you're using both of them. So you have about the middle of the working cord. What you can do if you find this difficult is get like a clip or something to hold these two cords together. It might be a bit easy to work with, especially if it's right at the beginning. But I don't really find that to be necessary, so you get then one side of your cord, put it over the two, take the other side, put it over the one you just put over, and then feed it through underneath the two holding cords, and then pull it through the loop, and then you pull tight. So as you can probably tell, that's the same thing that we've been doing the whole time. This is your first half of a square knot. Do the same thing. Put the other side over first, and then take the left side, in my case, and then pull it through underneath and through the loop, and then tighten it. And that's your first full square knot. Now it'll get easier because you don't have to worry too much about holding these cords together because the knot is doing that for you. So you continue with this. Put it underneath and pull it through. Tighten it. Underneath and pull it through. And tighten it. I like to tighten them quite well because, as you'll probably guess, this part will be the adjustable part and it will be movable, so these cords will be moving in and out. And right at first, when you've made the lock, you might find that it's a bit tight to pull your cords through, but it's just a couple of times and then it's all fine. So I prefer making them a bit tight so I know they will last. The amount of knots you make is completely your choice. For some reason I have like a general rule that I just like to make. I usually make about 6. Because I don't like this part to be too small, it'll be quite flimsy, but there's no need for it to be too big either, so I think 6 is pretty good middle way, so but however many you want to make. So far I've got 3 full square knots. Sorry, 3.5 actually. I'm on the 4th one. There we go, 4 full square knots. I think I'll make 6 on this one as well. That's 5. And the last one. Tighten that, and there we go. That's gonna be the adjustable part. All you want to do now is you can see that we've ended up the same way that we ended up on the actual bracelet. So you just do the exact same thing. You fill up the wells on both sides and then just write around the cords coming out with glue. Leave it to dry and then cut them off. The only thing you want to just be careful you want to make sure you don't get glue on these cords and your holding cords, because that'll obviously glue them together, and the whole point is you're supposed to be able to pull them in and out to open and close it. So put your glue on, cut them off, do that, and then I'll just show you how to finish it off right at the end. So your bracelet is now almost done. You cut off these cords, glued it. To just finish it off, first I like to just pull them tight. First of all, just to make sure that's all working, but just so they're even, because now you need to just finish off these ends, because if you don't put something on there, when you pull it you can just pull them straight through and that'll open up the bracelet and you'll have to redo it. So for this, first thing, I get one side. You do the same thing on both sides, so it doesn't matter. I make just a simple knot, pull it down to about where I want it to be, and then tie that really tight. Do the same thing on the other side. Now this is why I pull this part close, because it's easier to measure the approximate same length of where to put the knots. You can measure it if you want to. I just normally do it by eye. So pull that really tight as well. Now get the beads out. I told you at the beginning that I'm going to use for the end part. Whatever beads you decide to use, it doesn't matter. In my case it's the silver stardust ones. You get your end of whichever side. Just put this bead on after you've made your knot. Put it down to the knot, and you just simply make another knot on the other side of that bead. Just a completely regular knot. Get it as close to the bead as you can. Now what I like to do, because it depends on the size of the holes in your beads, but I have had before where I've just made one knot, and as you're opening and closing your bracelet, you're normally holding on to these, and it's pulled the bead off. So actually now what I like to do, I always make 2 knots. So there shouldn't be any way that both knots could go through the hole, because I make it on top of the other one so the actual knot becomes a lot bigger. Tighten it as tight as you can. Do the same on the other side. So I can get the cord through. There we go. Put it all the way down, make a knot. Tighten it as close to the bead as you can. And just make another one, just to be safe. Make sure that knot goes on top of the other knot, so it kind of becomes one knot, because that's how you increase the size of the knot so it won't go through the bead. And then all I do then, I get my glue out again. Now this probably is necessary, it's just me being paranoid. I normally just glue the knots, because I don't want there to be any chance of them coming undone at any point, because it is like a movable part and you are taking it on and off, so I'd rather be safe than sorry. Do that on both sides. Then get your scissor out and then cut as close to the knot as you can get without obviously cutting the actual knot off. And again. And there you go. That's your bracelet done. Obviously if the glue's still a bit wet, just let it dry, but otherwise that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that and thank you for watching.